We figured it out. We figured it out. It was a great day. I hope you had a good one. Thanks for joining us here tonight as we wrap up your weekend and prepare you for the week ahead. And very happy to report that my good friend Jim Bowlin, Mayor Jim Bowlin, Mayor of the City of Wildwood, joins me in studio this evening. Jim, thanks for coming down and braving the dark, wet streets of St. Louis tonight.
Thank you, Tim. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So Jim, just a little bit about you first. I think we were talking in the break. You, like me, are a recovering attorney, right?
I am.
Yeah. And you have a great business out in, I think it's in Eureka now, right?
It is in Eureka. That's right, Tim.
Yeah, you're in the insurance industry, so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jim, tell me. So then, you've got this great career going on, great business. What made you want to run for public office?
It was really I think the call of duty and to give back to the city. I've been involved with Wildwood since I moved there in 2006 in one form or another. And this came on the horizon, and here we are. And one of the greatest things about it is I get to continue to help people. The only difference is I can do it a little quicker now. So
yeah,
it's a great thing. It's a great city that we have. Love our residents and glad to be a part of making our city better.
So, Mayor Bowlin, tell me how City of Wildwood, I know, has, I think, 16 council members, and then the mayor is the chief executive. So I know with all of our different municipalities in this area, how is the mayor's office set up in general in Wildwood? Is it a what does the mayor do? Is it a strong chief executive? Is it kind of moderate? I mean, some cities, the mayor's just there to break ties. What's the mayor's role in Wildwood?
We're similar to most other municipalities in St. Louis County. We do have one of the largest councils. We have 16 council members. The mayor does break a tie. The mayor also has veto power, and you obviously, you appoint people, and I think most importantly, you set the vision for the city and where we're headed. So we have, by and large, a good council. We do our due diligence on things, in terms of Hidden Valley, as you mentioned earlier. And so that's what the mayor does.
Yeah, Wildwood, very unique community, right? Because it's so large. Aren't you the largest by geography? Aren't you the largest city in the county?
Wildwood in the county is by geography the largest, and in the state of Missouri we are the third largest.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
By population in the state, we are, I think, around the 11th largest, and roughly 6th or 7th in St. Louis County.
Right, very very unique city in the sense that you've got a lot of open space, you have a lot of hills and dales, and you have subdivisions and businesses as well. You've got it really all in Wildwood. And one of the unique things you have is, and some folks maybe they're hearing this for the first time, you have a ski resort right in the middle of the city of Wildwood, who's been there a very long time.
We do. Hidden Valley is part of Wildwood, and it has been around for a few years.
So Jim, for folks who did not catch this, or maybe weren't paying as close attention, a little bit of controversy came up recently with Hidden Valley. They wanted to add something to their services, right? Was it zip lines?
That's right, Tim. They did ask to add zip lines. Their reason being, with warmer winters, the financial, apparently the business plan for their operation here in Wildwood, really, according to them, they think that they need to add this additional aspect to it to have more funds coming in.
So it's been percolating for a couple months. A lot of meetings at City Hall, right? A lot of negotiation.
A lot of meetings.
Yeah. So as we are sitting here today on Sunday evening, the January 21st, where are we now with what happens to Hidden Valley in the city of Wildwood? And I may be asking you to look in your crystal ball a little bit, but just bring us up to speed.
Well, that's a great question, Tim. And I would have to look in the crystal ball a little bit. Tomorrow night, the full council will, I think, make a final vote on where we're headed with respect to the zip line. It started with our Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay.
They made a recommendation. The council then decided to review that with a committee of the council. That committee came up with a slightly different opinion in terms of hours of operation and so forth. And Hidden Valley worked with the city in terms of moving one of the zip lines that was closest or closer to residences. And that's been a big concern for me is balancing this with the interest of our residents. That's first and foremost, I think, something we have to be concerned about. So that committee of the council's made a recommendation, and tomorrow night the council will vote on that.
Okay, so like a lot of communities, and I, as Jim knows this, the rest of you may have forgotten, I served on a city council in the city of Eureka, and so is Wildwood's Planning and Zoning Commission a recommending body like Eureka's is? What do you know what I mean by that? So the Planning and Zoning Commission. They don't necessarily have the final say, right? Like the council can adjust things with what they
You're
recommend?
right, Tim. Yeah. So in Wildwood's case, our Planning and Zoning Commission, as it did here, can make a recommendation. In the instance where the council feels that it wants to take a look at it in its own right, it has the ability to do that, and that's what happened with respect to the zip lines that were being proposed at Hidden Valley.
How did the vote come out of the planning and zoning? Was it split? Was it unanimous?
It was unanimous.
Oh, is that generally a good sign in Wildwood, or what does the council think about planning and zoning recommendations?
That is generally a good sign.
Okay, great. And in your personal opinion, do you think the residents who were concerned about where the lines were going to go and the hours of operation and all the minutia that was going into trying to figure this out, do you get the sense, are they happy? Are some of them happy? What's the general feeling?
Well, as with most things, Tim, it's tough to make everyone completely happy on all the issues. And so I'm sure that there are some residents that, as a matter of fact, I know there are some residents, I just talked to some yesterday, that are not real happy with even the recommendation that's come out of this committee of the council. And Hidden Valley may not be happy as well. So as I've said from day one with respect to the zip line issue, it as with most things, it comes down to compromise, balancing first and foremost, as I said, the interest of our residents and looking at what can be done to accommodate what Hidden Valley is trying to do. We want them to succeed. We know they're an important part of our city and the region, and I think that our city has done a fine job in terms of balancing those interests, considering all of the input that we've had at various stages of this, and coming up with a recommendation that the council will consider tomorrow night.
Well, and you're a real testament to the fact that persistence and not giving up on something can often win the day. Because I remember when this story first came up months ago, right? 2-3, I think back in October is when I first heard about it. And at that point, I had some people telling me, well, I guess Hidden Valley is going to close, and isn't that a shame? And they're just going to pack up and go away. But I've known you and for a long time, and I know you were not going to take that for an answer, because this was about problem solving, right? And there had to be a balance here. And it sounds like you kept at this, where I guess if everybody had given up early on, maybe we wouldn't have any more Hidden Valley.
Right. Well, I'm not someone, when it comes to an issue of importance like this, I'm not someone who gives up. And I think our city as a whole, we have some very diligent people that feel the same way in terms of addressing these things. And I think our process is really one of the best. It looks at these things at different stages, and we involve different people, and there are different reviews that go on. And ultimately, that is a process that I think produces the best result. Yes, it takes a while, and yes, there are people ultimately that will not, be happy with respect to the result. But I think that it does get to usually gets to a good compromise that balances the interests of everyone involved.
So tomorrow night will be. Do you think this will be? It's set for the final action, right, on the vote, or do you think there's maybe a chance the council may say, we still need to tweak something else on this plan?
Tim, it's never, as you know from your many years in the legislature and on city council at Eureka, it's never over until it's over.
That's right.
And the council, frankly, could do a couple of different things here. So we'll just have to see how they react to it. And this was a committee of the council that made this recommendation, and I think
that's a significant factor.
That is a significant factor, and so we'll see what happens.
So, folks, you can follow the City of Wildwood, cityofwildwood.com. And Jim, do you use any other social media yourself to talk about Wildwood or things you got coming up? Do you use Twitter or Facebook or any of those tools?
Yeah, I do. So I have a Twitter account, Mayor Bowlin, and also Facebook Mayor Bowlin. And one thing in terms of what you just said there, Tim, about following this tomorrow evening, one of the things that I recommended and was approved by our council is the live streaming of our meetings for the first time in Wildwood history.
Well, that is remarkable.
Yeah, so,
let me give you a lot of credit for that, because in this day and age of people wanting transparency in government and having access to government, that's remarkable for a city council to do that.
Our residents have a right to know what we're doing, and so if they, the best, of course, is to show up at meetings and see it in person. But if they're busy and that can't be accommodated, they can find the link on our website and watch it live. And our meetings, not only the city council, but our planning and zoning commission meetings. And we're looking, just by the way, at getting all of our public meetings put on live stream, but they're archived, and so if you don't have the chance to watch it tomorrow, you can watch it next week, next month, next year.
Yeah, especially with the challenging winter we're having.
Right.
Folks may now, it looks like tomorrow's going to be nice, but in the coming weeks and months, we may slip back into winter, and folks can do that. Yeah, I'm looking at your website right now. It looks very clear and easy to navigate, and you've got all the little big buttons on the bottom, and I can even see them, so that's good. So, that's great that you've made that more transparent. So, Mayor, we've got a couple more minutes here. So as we're wrapping up, what's coming down the pike for Wildwood? You got any big events or anything you want to talk about, or any other big initiatives coming down the road?
Well, one of the things that I unveiled a few months ago is what's called Wildwood 2020.
Okay.
And you can also find this on our website. And it's basically a 5-point plan between now and 2020 that I think would be good for the city to follow. It includes things like enhancing our green space and moving residences farther apart from what we currently see in town center, adding additional green space to past developments where we may have required trees and so forth, and they've died and they haven't been replaced. And also we're going to look at whether our residents want to have some type of an activity center, and if they do, where they want it, and what kind of activity center, beautification of our city, and so forth. So you can find the Wildwood 2020 plan on our website. A lot of thought went into that from a number of different people on our team, and I look forward to implementing that between now and 2020.
Well, you'll be happy to know I spend a lot of my tax dollars on a weekly basis at the town center, between the Starbucks, the Walgreens, some of the restaurants there, and the theater. Yeah, it's a really neat space you've created, and there's the garden there and the shopping center, and I think it's really well planned.
Well, you're always welcome in Wildwood. And actually, we invite anyone that wants to come out and enjoy, not like you said earlier, yes, we have businesses, but we have nature, lots of parks. It's a beautiful area. I think it's the most beautiful place in the state of Missouri, and we like to share it. So anyone's welcome to come join us out there.
That's good. Hey, we got 1 minute left. So do you interact with our state legislature at all? As the mayor of one of the largest cities. I mean, have you had an opportunity to go to beautiful Jeff City in January? Or yeah.
Well, Tim, it's interesting you asked that. So I've been mayor for 18 months, and one of the things I did when I became mayor was look at ways that we could do things a little better. And I think that the relationship that our city and our residents have with our state legislatures legislators can be improved. In fact, just in a few days, I think next week, we're going to be having our first ever legislative reception in Jefferson City.
Excellent.
Where we're going to meet all types from the leadership on down, and we look forward to that. And so that's just one of the things that we also want to accomplish in the next 2 years.
Yep, squeaky wheel gets the grease up there. I'll tell you that. Give a little secret.
It.
Yeah. Hey, that's Mayor Jim Bowlin of the great city of Wildwood. He's at Mayor Bowlin on Facebook or Twitter. Jim, thanks so much for coming down here on a Sunday night, spending some time with us and updating us on the Hidden Valley Ski Resort.
Thank you, Tim. Great show, and keep up the good work.
Hey, thank you. We'll be back with the Tim Jones Show, the second hour, right after this on FM News Talk 97.1.
The Tim Jones Show on FM News Talk 97.1.
Family owned and operated since 1972, Lakeside